Hey everybody, Shane Presley here, Rock Paper Podcast. Thank you for checking out another brand new episode. Today's features Fourth and Long. Had a whole lot of fun linking up with these guys to talk about their brand new album. They recently reunited and re-recorded their album from 20 years ago. And updated all these songs, and it's fantastic. So we get into it. We talk about the record. We talk about how this all came about, and we let you hear a couple of these songs if you haven't listened already. And you get a exclusive live acoustic take on one of these songs. So hope you enjoy it, and follow along with Fourth and Long on your Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. They got a music video out there for their single, so check that out. And stream it wherever you get your digital music at. But big thanks to them. Thank you for listening and continuing to support the show. Really means a lot to me. I appreciate you being here. And if you need me, you can always find me at rockpaperpodcast.com. Email me, rockpaperpodcast@gmail.com, and hit me up on the socials. I would love to hear from you. With that out of the way, sit back, relax, and enjoy this brand new episode with my buddies, Fourth and Long.
A podcast is kind of like it's like a radio show that's not on the radio. It's on the internet. Does that make sense? Uh-huh. Yeah. That's also like my mom. It makes it sound more confusing, doesn't it? It sounds like this.
We're Fourth and Long, and you're listening to Rock Paper Podcast.
Rock Paper Podcast.
Scissors beat paper, paper covers rock. Rock beats scissors, Shane covers non-stop. Never know what new kind of guest that he's got coming at you. Live and direct on the spot. Could be rock, folk, country, or hip-hop, jazz. All kind of folks that he has. Could be an artist or a comedian to make you laugh on the
Rock Paper Podcast.
double-decker fudge round, rolling round town. Shane coming at you live and direct from ground zero. He's your hero, he's your bestie. Rock Paper Podcast with Shane Presley.
Rock Paper Podcast.
Hey everybody, Shane Presley here, Rock Paper Podcast, coming to you from St. Louis, Missouri. Hanging out today with Fourth and Long. Welcome to the show, guys.
Hey, buddy.
Hey. I guess being that this audio and we got some video going too, but you guys want to go around and properly introduce yourselves for everyone?
We go left to right or right to left? We need organization.
Start in the middle.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. Hi, I'm Tyler. I sing things, and I used to play bass, but I think we've all given up on that.
I mean, you're gonna.
And I play guitars.
Scott, play guitars.
Yeah. Right on, man. I'm excited about this. Like, I've known Pat for quite a while now, and we met through music, and but this is the first of learning of this project, which I guess I kind of got on pretty late with everything, but I'm excited about learning. It's always fun for me, even if these songs are 20 years old and stuff. It was always fun for me to discover new music, and it's always like, especially like, even though I do kind of consider myself a bit of a historian, I'm always like trying to like discover other great music coming out of St. Louis and all the new music being currently made, along with stuff that I missed before. But that was like a lot of it was like when I first like started doing this show and like right out like started like really kind of diving into St. Louis music. I started like deep diving into, obviously I knew about The Urge, I knew about Modern Day Zero, Mesh, I knew about
Stir and, like some of the bigger ones, but then I started, learning about other people making music in town. So there's a lot of things that I missed the mark on. And so it's kind of fun to discover those even a little later on and fall in love with some great tunes. But so Fourth and Long, I guess you guys said 20 years better. Is this new record coming out?
That's the idea.
So
Yeah.
So is it? So take me back to, I guess there's something around 2003 or something. What was like the?
I think we technically started as a band 2002 for Fourth and Long.
I think that's right. That's what I put in the bio.
Yeah, so I think 2002 Fourth and Long was officially an entity, but I mean Tyler and I have been playing music since '99.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to call it music for the sake of the podcast, but
right. Definitely have been hanging out talking about music since about then. Scott got me hooked on what eventually, became the first concert that I went to, which became, the band that I'm still a crazy fanboy today, which is MXPX, in case you're wondering.
Shout out.
Yeah. But yeah, we've been doing that forever. And then that kind of rotated for a little bit. It was sort of squishy. But I think, the sort of like prime of the band, which is crazy to think that it was really only like a 2.5, 3 year period. But our prime was definitely when we had Pat with us. So.
Yeah, I met these guys in the summer of 2003. I was in another band, and we did like a battle of the bands and played against them. And I was from a town 15 minutes down the highway, and there was, we'll call it bad blood for absolutely no reason because we were all 18-year-old idiots. But
testosterone was.
I think I was still 17. But.
But after that battle of the bands, I was walking around looking for my singer that evening, and I walked up on Scott and the drummer Travis to see if they knew where he was, and I don't know how, but I want to say the next night we ended up over at Scott's house watching High Fidelity.
Seems right.
And we just became fast buds, and it was kind of over from there. I didn't even meet Tyler until probably 2 weeks later, something like that.
Why by that point, practiced?
I had learned about 6 of the songs and was just playing with them, and it just kind of organically happened. So, and then we just kind of hit the ground running at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like there's 2 core phases of the band, which is like the Perry phase and then the Pat phase. Which we were a 4-piece. Tyler was just singing no instrument, and Justin Perry played bass. And we got to a point where mutually I don't even remember why. I just remember there was completely there was no bad blood between us. And I think it was all on good terms. I think he just couldn't commit to it anymore or something.
Right, and he was definitely younger than us. I don't remember younger than you.
He's the class below me. Which again is how we figured that out. Because it was in high school time. So whatever class we were in.
And we went to a high school where everybody knew everybody, so it's pretty easy to be like, oh yeah, they're the one behind me, 1, 2 behind me. But Perry, I think part of it was that. Obviously we were bad influences, but also his parents didn't want him to travel. And that was starting to be kind of...
Yeah, that's right. He never played out of town with us. Because that's right. So
we did Omaha, Kansas City.
Thacker played Omaha. Yeah.
Yep.
So after that happened, then it was actually that Battle of the Bands. It was the first time that you played bass. Because we were like, we don't have anybody to play bass. So we shoved a bass into Tyler's hands. And it wasn't a disaster. And so we stuck with it. And that was the core structure then. The 2 guitars, bass, and Travis.
Yep.
Nice. Yeah. What and I guess to start in the project, we mentioned Pat was from a town a little bit away, but did you guys grow up together or go to school together? Or did that start? Is that where the conversation started?
So technically, you went to school 2nd and 3rd grade, or just 3rd grade?
I think so, right?
And then Tyler disappeared for until high school?
Yeah, it was. So I skipped 4th grade, which took me out of your class.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I'm not that smart because I later failed 8th grade and ended up where I was supposed to be.
Wasn't it? What was it? Not fraction.
Foil.
Foils. Yeah.
Foil.
Foils.
Darned algebra distributed
property. I couldn't get that one.
Anyway, So yeah, I got taken out of Spring Bluff, among other things, because my parents didn't want me around those bad influences. And then some years later, I ended up with these guys. So
We just threw that out the
Oh
window.
man, that just was an Ouroboros situation there. But yeah, so we went to school when we were young, and then Tyler came back in high school, and I think we met again because we had the same algebra class, which
yeah.
you
Mrs. Mason presumably.
properly started to have nosebleeds and vomiting in, if I remember right.
Kyle Laney called me pukey.
So we knew each other, and then we were all in band and choir and that kind of stuff. And there was a wider musical orbit, right, with Yost and Ross and Kreider and all those guys,
And even like Derek.
and even Kincaid, yeah. So there was like this, a collection of people who kind of played music and stuff for a while, and then everybody kept getting. Well, some of us got better, and some of us kind of gave up on it. But at the end of it, towards the end of high school, we were still doing it, and that's when Fort and Long really started to gel and take off. And then a couple months later, that's when we found Pat.
Yeah. So what? So you guys got sound like you hit the road, did some regional stuff at least, playing out of town a little bit, and some Battle of the Bands things. Did we get to do any like the was it like the battle for Warped or something like that, or one of those kind of things? Or
No, the closest we got to playing that is we got to open for a bunch of bands that were playing Warped Tour the next day at the High Point. Remember? Because the Brews.
Oh, yeah.
The Brews won the battle for Warped Tour. Feeble Wiener was just on it.
Yeah.
And then I think Anchondo was just on it.
Yeah, and Chondo was on that the High Point date for sure.
So yeah, we got to play the High Point show open for 3 bands that were playing Warped Tour the next day.
All right.
But no, we did not. I don't even know that we ever actually submitted anything.
Yeah.
because we never had anything decent to submit.
That's
Recordings.
Something I was going to bring up is kind of the whole reason that this all happened is because when we did the record the first time, it was done in Scott's basement. We did it all ourselves. Scott manned the board for, I'd say, 99% of it.
Tyler did quite a bit too.
Well, yeah. But, just kind of guerrilla style, figuring it out and
Sure.
learned a
and,
lot.
and very limited Google at the time. Right?
Correct.
So
Yeah.
it was.
Yeah.
Just
So
leaning on that teenage neuroplasticity and not knowing that we couldn't do it.
there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember like, oh wait, if you double guitars and pan them, oh my god, like
Yep.
it was just trial by dumb luck.
How
that-
many more vocal harmonies can we
Yeah,
put on here?
I'll just keep going. We never doubled the vocals for whatever reason, which
Yeah.
but
Do you think that's enough tambourine? Absolutely not.
We also were limited to 32 channels at a time, which meant that we were constantly bouncing tracks down. You wouldn't think it. Like, we were like, ooh, Aerosmith only has 64 tracks. But Jesus.
To be clear, we had a Mackie board that could actually record 32 channels at a time, which was the most unnecessary fucking thing that I've.
Yes, but Pro Tools could also only handle 32 channels at
Yeah.
a time, so it was a mess.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess so all these songs, or most of these songs, were on the original recordings. Then so everything was except for the one we're recording today that is
Yep.
previously
That's-
recorded.
Yeah, that's right. So Long Nights and Fireworks came out June 2004.
Yep.
Can't use 2004. And we had 8, 9 main tracks, and then some bonus tracks.
Yeah, I think we had 7 main tracks, intro, and then 3 bonus tracks.
Yeah. So this is all of those main tracks that were listed, plus one song that we wrote and recorded as an acoustic song like a month or two after.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
And it was definitely like the best song that Scott had written, to that point. Maybe still, I don't know.
I
We'll
mean,
see.
I haven't really written. Technically, for the purpose of this, I haven't written anything else since then. I don't
Right,
think.
yeah.
But
But it's a real good one. We're excited to share it and to have a good recording of it.
and for it to be full band, right? Because
Yeah.
it was sort of just always acoustic by the nature of simplicity.
Yeah.
Of
Friends passing around CDs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, let's play a track from the brand new record, and let's start with "Wasted Days."
it's Saturday night, and it still feels like so many nights that I spent before. Calling and crying over these things that make me torn. And time goes on our side, every night seems never ending. And I know someday soon we'll all have to stop pretending. As for now, we've got nowhere to go, but I know that we're not going home. We'll drive around this town all night, looking for something that we can't find. We'll drive around, yeah, one more time, looking for something or someone. And don't tell me I'll spend this night alone. Another night's been wasted, and I know I'll always end up alone, but I'm still not going We'll drive around this town all night, looking for something that we can't find. We'll drive around one more time, one more time, one more time. Around this whole town, we'll drive around this whole town.
And you guys just released a music video to go along with it, which was a lot of fun to watch. Like, obviously I didn't know you guys then, but it very much felt like watching all my buddies play. I was around at those times. I wasn't necessarily at the same show, but it was like it was very nostalgic in a sense. Like, obviously everybody goes back to those early 2000s days and jumping around and with your buddies and stuff. So
Yeah,
little bit.
It was,
I miss my knees.
when your whole body worked. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It was. And one MVP to Pat for finding the fucking tape. Right?
my goodness.
So we've been
Yeah,
looking for that tape.
Yeah.
We knew it existed.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was looking for it probably 2.5 or 3 months ago, kind of when we had just started the recording process. I said, I know I've got it. And I looked at every closet and drawer in my house and could not find it. Long story short, cleaning out my basement a couple weeks ago, and I opened a shoebox and I found it, and I literally screamed. I went, "Holy shit, I found it!" And everybody, like my uncle was there and goes, "What the hell are you yelling about?" And I was like, "You have no idea how exciting this is." So got it to Scott, and he was able to digitize it off of one of those little mini VHS tapes.
nice.
And I mean, it's only 20, 25 minutes, but I'm very excited to have the footage.
Yeah.
So,
But when you only need a few seconds.
right.
Yeah, and we
right.
found a whole song that we didn't even remember existed.
Also,
We're gonna try
that's-
to reconstruct
This
that.
is true. Yeah, we were listening. I'm like, I don't even know what the song is. And then we went back to the STL Punk like Internet Archive, and at one point we listed it as a track for Long Nights and Fireworks, but none of us can really remember like why we just stopped playing it.
Yeah, best guess is it was a little bit, vindictive against my girlfriend at the time and my now wife. So I'm
I didn't write this
assuming
one.
that I chickened out and didn't put it on the record.
I was just thinking about that, like kind of going through the old video stuff. I just like a year ago, I guess now, 6 months ago, I had our 20th or high school reunion.
Oh yeah.
And they found an old tape, VHS, at the school that had like a slideshow thing that they must have played for us like our senior year or something, or whatever, whoever put it together. And So we're like, well, that would be kind of fun to play at the reunion, and so. But then we're trying to figure out how to get to play the tape and all this stuff. And I was like, well, I have some software I can convert it. And then I was like, well, shit, I don't have my VCR anymore. So I had to find a VCR, and I work for the school, so I was able to. I started digging, and I was like, we got an old VCR here, don't we? And they're like, oh no, we threw those out a couple of years ago. And I was like. And then I found a VCR that was available.
Pardon me.
My mother-in-law had one, so I was like, "All right," and so I used hers. It immediately took the tape and broke, and then so
there was a lot of puckered buttholes when I was copying this one.
All right,
because as excited as you had been, especially because the battery was dead in my converter, and so I had to use yours that is like that. It's just analog, right? So it just takes those prongs and pulls the tape. Yeah, so I feel your pain on that one.
So I end up like destroying her VCR to get this tape out of there because it was like I couldn't get it. There was I don't know. It wouldn't open. So I was like, well, it's coming out one way or another. And so I ripped the whole cover off, got the tape out, found a better VCR that didn't eat the tape. And it ended up saving the day. So
you taped the tape back together, or
it didn't. The
VCR.
It took the tape. It's kind of one of those that like lower down on there and on the wheels, and then like it just like got stuck in there, and it wouldn't. The power, it like died as soon as it took the tape in. The power cut off, and it wouldn't power back on, and it wouldn't eject the tape, and I couldn't manually lift the eject, and like it was just like, all right. This thing's going in the trash now.
I'm gonna try to stay out of a rabbit hole about VCRs because I don't know. But I sold electronics at Walmart for several years, and the number of times I had to take a VCR apart to get somebody's tape out. We had a guy who came in here and he was really frustrated that his VCR was broken.
So he took it to Walmart.
Well, I mean, it was a Walmart VCR. He wanted to return it. He's like, "Oh, it ate my tape," and we're like, "Oh, do you want to get your tape back?" He's like, "No, it's fine." And then like he got a new one and left, and so then we took it apart, and it was like Sticky Fingers 3 or something like that. It's like I could see why he didn't hang around.
I've got a couple copies at home.
Also, the story of your high school job being at Walmart where you took apart VCRs makes us sound so fucking
right.
Although, for clarity, I worked a help desk on internet helping people with their dial-up internet problems too. So
nice.
Yep, I remember that.
Yeah, man.
And last comment on the media copying. I've done enough of that now where I actually, when Pat handed me a disc of CDs, or a CD with a bunch of pictures on it, I'm like, what the fuck am I going to do with a CD?
Yeah, right.
I had to order a CD player or a reader to hook to the Mac.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, it's...
An optical drive, sorry.
It's crazy that, all this technology is like obsolete now. It's like it's so hard to find all these converters trying to make, I dug out my my old iPod not too long ago too, and and then I had to like go find the actual like
30-pin connector.
Yeah, right. It's like it's like just to get it to take a little bit of charge, and but it was fun to go through that also, just to like see what's on there and stuff that I've. It's only on that, and I don't have the computer hard drive or anything anymore and stuff. So, but yeah, it's fun, man. Like I said, it's exciting when you discover like that tape or these old CDs or, whatever it is. It's a blast from the past for sure. And so it's great. Glad we had these kind of things to preserve these memories and stuff. So
sure. And I mean, Pat, coming in clutch all the time, apparently is sort of an archivist, and has like almost everything that we had ever recorded, including, random demos and covers. And
the term's called a hoarder.
Well,
only in the digital space.
Yeah. I think we had a 2 gigabyte hard drive on that computer that we used for tracking. So a lot of like masters are just gone.
All right.
Or like, even the original tracks or whatever.
You took that computer, right?
Let's say no, because I don't want to be responsible for that.
Pretty sure you did.
Okay. I'm sure it had a bunch of LimeWire crap on it. Anyway, so how about 2024?
Just
you played that completely out of context.
I love it.
So the story behind what's happening there. So that is Tyler doing a screaming-ish vocal take. And we had come to learn that Burt McCracken from the U had people throw shit at him to do his vocal takes. And we thought, well, this is a good excuse to have Tyler let us throw shit at him.
All right.
We didn't think it was going to help, but it allowed us to throw Gatorade bottles at Tyler. So you hear on there, the whap is us chucking Gatorade bottles at Tyler while he's in the vocal booth.
Sorry, had to. Felt like the best example of the material.
Yeah. Was that another piece that was archived?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yes.
Nice.
Wow.
Now it's on cue for digital. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. We're gonna have to have Pat send you that so you can
Yeah.
splice in a clean copy. The world needs to hear it.
What as you're going through some of that stuff, I was wondering about, like, revisiting 20 years later. Is there a particular look or song lyric or anything that you guys saw and you're like, ugh, like.
Yeah, put your damn hat on straight, you jerk.
No, because we already disowned all of that music. I will say from the music standpoint, from Long Nights and Fireworks forward, I am actually surprised at how much we didn't want to meddle with it because it was okay with it. Now, but the stuff like before that, I would say, like, well, let's not mess with it because it's not worth it.
Right. Yeah. I don't think the material really held up, but over time, like, I began to really appreciate the original Long Nights and Fireworks. I mean, the recordings are not great, but it was like, oh, these songs are good, they're fun. I've finally gotten past all the, like, oh, I did that weird thing with my voice. So the only other than just completely, like, rainbow sparkle fart on all the tracks with
Great
like,
band name.
Yeah, right. It's probably taken. But chimes and bells and timpanis and all of this kind of stuff that obviously we don't have in our band, but it sounds great. The only arrangement change that we really made was to shorten the chorus of Wasted Days,
Which was 100% the right decision.
Yep.
Like, the more I've listened
shorten
to
the like bridge chorus.
Yeah, there was like an
breakdown.
audience participation, broken down chorus that just didn't. It was great live. It just didn't translate to a recording. So we edited that out and it makes the song much more cohesive.
that was 100% the right
But
call.
otherwise, the record is basically a carbon copy of what was done in 2004. It just sounds infinitely better, right?
I'm amazed at as much stuff that you referenced, Tyler, like all the goofy bells and sounds that, I mean, obviously it sounds better with what Richie did, but the fact that stuff's still even in there, like, I just didn't expect that we would 20 years later say, yeah, that's still the decision I'm going to make.
Right, because it was literally like a Casio keyboard that we were, analog playing into. Like, we didn't even have MIDI.
No.
So to kind of see that, like, carried forward and actually sound good, pretty cool.
Yeah. I was also thinking the turn of that also, is there something, a particular lyric maybe, or something 20 years later that still sticks with you, or that even resonates even more, that like maybe took on a whole new meaning, visiting it with fresh eyes?
So this is where I'm going to hop on my soapbox for a moment. Yeah. So if you listen to the songs, like, obviously, it's a bunch of high school angsty, relationship stuff going on a lot of it. But also, if you listen to a lot of the lyrics, it's very much this time of transition of, like, oh, I just graduated high school. I don't know what comes next. I think there's even a lyric in Words that's, or Bierman, that's like, I'm scared of what I might be, right? Like, because I don't know what's coming.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk about, like, time.
Yeah. Well, and even contradicting yourself of, like, one for Bierman is like, don't forget me now.
Right.
And
like,
then Words is like, don't try to save me. Like, but it's a lot about, hey, these relationships are ending, they're changing, and I don't know what they're going to be, but they're going to be different.
Yeah. I think of the 7 that were on the original Long Nights and Fireworks, Send for Me is the one that I think has sort of changed meaning the most.
I was going to say the same.
And it, there's an element of like, I just was not emotionally intelligent to know. And, Scott has always been like, 10 times faster. I feel like he processes, human perception like way faster than I do. But for a lot of these songs back then, I was like, oh, that's a fun song. I'll sing those words. And it didn't really, hit for me, mentally, emotionally or whatever. But Send for Me, I mean, it was such a transitional time, such an opportunity that come to find out 20 years later, we weren't necessarily all on the same page about.
Well, 20 years ago, I think we were all on the same. Well, I know you might not have been.
Yeah. I was clenching my butthole.
Well, go ahead and explain that. That's one that the backstory of the song is a worthwhile story.
we were sending stuff out because that was pre-release of Long Nights and Fireworks, but we'd cut most of the albums or the songs that we thought were going to be on the album in our original version. They redid it. But while we had all those demos, we were sending them to anybody who would listen. And then we actually met with some of the guys from Lobster Records for a little bit. There was some conversation back and forth. We had a big show at Mississippi Nights, which was, I think we billed it as our EP release party.
Yep.
We got Robbie Dunsworth. We got some stuff on the radio. Got stuff going. So
yeah, that's the only time my voice has been on the point that I know of.
Yeah, so we put a lot of time and energy into that, and it came out to where they fell apart. It didn't. They opted not to pursue anything further. But we were in this state of like, hey, do we go out west and really try to do this, or do we not? And it was a sort of this crushing disappointment at the time, and I know for me personally, now both professionally and in my family life, like, oh, I'm so thankful that happened.
It happened when it was supposed to happen.
Because I wouldn't be a person, and I think you would probably relate the same, Tyler.
Absolutely.
Here, like where I'm at with my career, my family, and everything. So it does change. But yeah, that song at the time is like, hey, do we go do this? And we kind of talking about the disappointments of the relationships and the things you've messed up here, and you just got to run away from that and go try to figure it out somewhere else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Take me and break me over your heart again. Look at my eyes and tell me lies again. I'd give anything to be 4 years younger from today. We could have all those nights back and all of those times that the future was where we didn't care. Take me and break me
the line that kind of like jumped to me right away was, I wish I was 4 years younger. And I don't know. I mean, I think that's something that could be the same. Say you're a senior in high school and you're afraid that you're moving on, you're losing your high school buddies or whatever. Everybody's going to different ways to college or what. So you kind of wish you could start it all over again. Right. But I think the same goes also when you're hitting 40 and you're like, shit, I wish I was 36 right now. You know, it's like, and it's that same thing. Like some of those messages, though the time changed 20 years later, it's still relevant. I think, you know, there's still the connection there. So
and you know, again, I was an emotional moron at that time, but like life is change, right? Like life is transition. Nothing is ever going to be the same, and you know, I mean, it is about a very specific time,
right.
But in a sense, it's kind of timeless.
Yeah. I do like that the bridge has the "Don't leave your life to chance," as if like.
Yep.
Anybody has that option.
Yeah, right.
Like that life isn't just a series of events that you have at least maybe some mild influence on.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, so we've been talking about this brand new album a lot, and but how does the topic come up? To, like, who makes the call? Like, hey, we should get back together and do this thing. Like, how's that conversation go about?
That was me. I kind of Rich Criebaum is my bandmate. I play in a cover band as well. We've played music. We've known each other. I want to say I met him in 2005, so maybe 6 or 7 months after Fourth and Long split. Met him through music and recording some other projects I was working on, and we just became fast buddies. And we've got a buddy out in California who. Essentially, she sells placements for television shows and movies and things of that nature. And she had mentioned just kind of out of the blue to Rich one day that, people are always looking for pop punk stuff. If you've got any pop punk in the back seat that you can kind of throw out. And I said, well, I happen to know where there's, 8 or 9 songs that were very well written and, put together, composed well. But the recordings are certainly subpar for something I would want to put out now. I said, would you be interested in doing something like that? And he agreed graciously. And I called, I think first one I called was Scott, and he was like, I mean, yeah.
I think the first thing you asked is like, do you want to write some new pop punk stuff?
Yeah, you're right.
And so it started like, hey, do you want to write some stuff? And he was like, sure.
Why?
I guess. Why? What is going on?
Yeah, and I kind of explained the situation, and I said, well, what do you think about maybe, and I think at the time I said maybe just re-record Cheating and Wasted Days, and then it just kind of snowballed into, well, shoot, I really like this song too and that song, and before we knew it, I was like, let's just re-record the whole thing. And
I think at one point I asked you, it's like, well, if we've done all this, should we just put this out as like a 20th anniversary thing?
Yep.
And then here we are, and then we just kind of made up, while I was doing the artwork, I made up the 20 years better thing, and it just stuck.
Yeah,
clever.
I will say,
play on words there.
Yeah, it is really, really hard to maintain consistent formatting for that on the internet. So I do hate you every time I have to type space asterisk. God, see, I can't say it, but you know what I'm saying.
I mean, you could have just made it 20 years better without that lift system.
Well, so iTunes threw a fit. This is all very important. iTunes threw a fit about like a hyphen being in there or something like this. That's what I was originally going to do. And anyway, so we've got our asterisks, and we're moving forward. iTunes hasn't bitched at me about that.
But yeah, it's.
I wanted to. This is something that Pat and I've been meaning to ask Pat. Like, did you have like a pitch? Like, were you like, oh man, I don't know if they're going to be into it, so I'm going to be like, all right, man, we got this and we got that. Like,
no, I think, like I said, once I had talked to Scott, because obviously, as we all know, Scott has kind of been the brainchild of this project from the jump. And, once I had him on board, I was like, I mean, Richie and I can handle the bulk of getting this stuff to tape.
And they really did.
And,
I feel like I was mostly a consultant on this project.
Pretty well. But it's great. It was awesome. I got to dig into the parts and play stuff that 20 years ago, frankly, these fingers wouldn't do. And frankly, there was a couple parts that they still can't. But so we had to call in some reinforcements to knock out a few parts. But I got to dig in and really get into his brain and figure out what kind of parts he's writing and learn some stuff. And like I said, frankly, it made me a better player. So it's been a lot of fun, a lot of work, a lot of nights over here. But
So you
hang out
weren't
and have a good time anyway.
you weren't underwhelmed when you called me, and I was like, sure.
No, that's the Tyler I know and love. So it was pretty much what I was expecting. But it worked out well. Tyler came up 2 or 3 different times. Tyler now lives in Kansas, just across the border in Kansas City, and came over a couple different weekends and knocked out most of the lead vocals. But he was able to do, I'd say, 70 to 80% of the harmony stuff at his house, and the internet is fascinating.
sure.
Like,
Right.
20 years has changed quite a lot technologically.
Remember when the Postal Service was like a really interesting concept? Like, oh, this band is sending CDs back and forth.
Yeah. No, it like I said, it was a lot of fun, and I'm most proud to have incredible recordings of these songs that I believed in and loved 20 years ago.
Yeah, when I saw the all kind of coming together on the internet, at first when Pat was promoting some of the stuff, and I was like, yeah, that's a great idea. I kind of hope that some of my other friends' bands kind of follow suit. I'm like, it'd be nice to give some of these songs the proper attention that they deserve, because we didn't have the funds or the abilities back 20 years ago. Right. So but I've already seen people commenting on your links and stuff that are like so excited to have these recordings. Like, there are people that were going to those shows 20 years ago, from school or whatever, that know these songs and love hearing them, and so now they'll be hitting all the streamers and everything else. We'll have proper recordings of them all. So
yeah, it's interesting. I mean, obviously, for us to have these as a 20-year later anniversary and better recordings is super important. But I do think there's an aspect of this for a lot of people. This is new music, right?
Sure.
And obviously pop punk is hung around. It hasn't hit the trunk like hair metal or something else. It's still somewhat relevant. So interested to see how people react who haven't heard some of this stuff before.
Yeah. I mean, it was my introduction to the band. And if I at first listen, if you would have said this is a brand new project, or whatever, it's not like you would tell these songs are 20 years old. Like, saying, like, they could be as relevant today as anything else. So it's just like, that doesn't really have that much to do with it, other than it's your own personal story. So
yep.
But
I am really grateful that none of our songs, as far as I remember ever, but definitely from Long Nights and Fireworks, were like, I don't know, Dave's so gay or whatever, because there was a lot of that back then.
Well, you asked about the lyrics before, and there was Party Girl, the song that we played. Oh yeah, that's when you're like, yeah, no, we're gonna leave that. But anything we put to tape, I was also happy that there nothing that was embarrassing or like, oh man, that is
and that's not to say that we weren't a breath away from doing something like that.
Oh
sometimes.
yeah,
It was just lucked out.
Yeah, it did luck out, or at least we made your vocals so messed up that no one could actually understand what
there are some secret uncomfortable words in the intro to the original Long Nights and Fireworks.
But not. I mean, it was fine. No, I think that makes sense.
I do. Obviously, you guys were able to use a lot of clips and stuff from old performances and things to make up the video. But I'm very much thankful that we kind of grew up in an era right before everything's on the internet. Where
me too.
It's like,
and we were pretty good, like, overall, like, fairly upstanding.
Okay,
I was.
I'm trying to avoid. People that know me are going to listen to this.
all right.
I mean, Lobster, as I remember, mainly didn't want us because we were too clean cut.
Yeah, well, I mean, you saw us at the time, right?
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I was working full-time at Walmart and going to college full-time for the last, 2 years of the band. So I did not have time to really get into trouble,
Yeah. I
which
found
partially
that.
led to
You
the
left that
demise.
to the other three of us.
Yeah, the rest of us did, although we found our way back to college. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I was also thinking, Pat mentioned that he's pretty much been playing music the whole time, but did you guys been active like playing, or was this like had to learn how to do it again to come back into it, or?
So fortunately for me, my musical journey. So after Fourth and Long, it was a dead period, and then probably the most relevant project that I did, you were a part of for a little bit,
You
was the
being
Gimmicks. Yes, Tyler was a part of for a little bit. Was the Gimmicks, which is Me First and the Gimme Gimme's tribute band, which
Is just a
The irony
joke on
is
its
just
own.
wonderful.
yeah. So we did that for a few years, then I did a generic cover band, and then we tried to. This group with some others tried to do a country band right before COVID.
Yep.
And then COVID hit, and
Yeah.
Yeah, we
COVID was COVID.
had 45 songs together, like
Yeah.
80s, 90s country stuff, and it was
Yeah.
a
And
we were
blast.
actually pretty good at it.
It was, most of it sounded
watched
pretty
some
solid.
of those videos the other day, and like I know and listened to the recordings, like we were getting there.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
were
yeah.
getting there.
Yeah, COVID shut that down, and it didn't have quite enough leg to stand up when COVID shut everything down.
Sure.
So it just kind of
Well, especially with me living in Kansas,
Sure.
and
Yeah.
just it being hard to get 6 people together,
Right. Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, we Scott and I think have had a similar pattern. I've had a little bit more of a bridge playing in cover bands, kind of between the Gimmicks and that country act. So been playing off and on, and I think in different ways we've all become stronger musicians. Definitely better at using our talents. I don't know that I'm any more talented than I was, but I can hear things and I can do things better. I have more control, and it's really fun to be able to, some of that original Long Nights and Fireworks stuff. Like I cringed for the next 10 years every time I would hear it. And like, man. So that's really like, I don't know. It feels like redemption.
Sure. I think that's anybody that's artistic is that you're your own worst critic for sure, and
Yeah.
it's like, but it's, I've heard people, like listening back to this show and like, yeah, you say and a lot. I'm like, you don't think I don't hear that stuff? Like, I'm like, yeah, I'm like, I'm trying. Like,
Thanks,
yeah. It's like, but yeah, I was also thinking like, as we're getting back into it and, you guys were learning these songs, was it a lot of it muscle memory kind of, did it come back pretty quick or did it take quite a few rehearsals?
Yes
kind of
and no.
Well, I didn't have to play any of it.
There were no rehearsals,
Yeah.
but fortunately, again, Rich and I spent a lot of time, and we imported the old record in, and just picked stuff apart as best as as much as possible. Using our ears together, we got a pretty significant amount of it figured out. But Scott had to come in. He's like, "Hey, you're missing this little part. If you listen real close, this is happening." And so great, yeah. And we, like I said, I feel pretty confident that we got everything that we needed.
We got everything that mattered.
Yeah.
But it was a fun process because, Pat did 99% of the tracking, but then we would constantly be sending videos back and forth like, oh, this is what's going on here.
Yeah.
Or, hey,
the hell are you
don't-
playing that?
Yeah, like, no, to play like this or adding stuff too that wasn't in the original recording, which really benefited it.
Nice.
For me, in a weird way, I think I had been kind of rehearsing it all along because it's not like I said listen to my own record, but I had. I'm sure at least once a year I would listen to Long Nights and Fireworks and try to sing along. That combined with all of the extra years of singing, it wasn't too hard. The hardest thing for me is, Rich had a few suggestions about like, I don't know, it's a little sing-songy, it's a little, this, could you maybe do this other thing? And I was very happy for the suggestion, very happy to try. Terrible at actually executing the things that Rich asked me to do, but we got there.
Yeah.
I do think that's something that made the songs better is having another pair of ears. I think our old process was sort of we'd write them. I would, I am not a good singer, but I would sing them to Tyler and we would figure them out as best we could. And then Tyler would run with it. And that was just whatever he sang was the song. Right.
Yeah.
And we really didn't go back and think about the melody or anything. It was just whatever came out was what we went with. And then being more intentional and making some changes.
Yeah. And I mean, Rich is super experienced.
Yeah, happens to be one of the best.
He's old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, Rich.
Rich is out of frame and off mic, but he's here with us in both person and spirit.
Well, let's talk about one more track, and this is a live acoustic performance right here for the show, and this is a track titled "In My Silence," right?
Yes, sir.
That's right. Yeah.
And you said we're kind of talking about before we hit record, but this is one that's been around, just never had a proper recording. It kind of always been this live acoustic type of take, right?
Correct.
And
yeah,
then-
I think you and I tracked a version of it.
Yeah, it was probably not live.
I'll
but-
not be playing that for anyone. That'll stay in the archives.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I want to say, did we play it? I know we played it at the farewell show. Did we maybe play it twice ever?
If we could have played, we probably played it at that Antique Mall show.
Okay.
That would be my guess, because
Okay.
that was when you'd kind of come back in the band, and you know, that was enough distance between Long Night's release and our show that I think we would have played it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But regardless, it never got played more than 3 or 4 times.
Right.
And certainly nobody knew it because
Right. There was no
real recording of it except for the acoustic MP3 on STL Punk.
right.
And that wasn't up there for very, very long. Apparently, we intended to do an acoustic EP at some point, according to our STL Punk page in the Internet Archive.
I'm sitting right beside you, suffering in my silence, wishing for these words to say. And I've held this conversation, it's played out in my mind, but when I'm with you, it never comes out right. So take my hand and change the way I'm feeling. Close your eyes, just listen to me breathing. I won't say that I want you or say that I miss you. These feelings I try to hide, but something feels right every time that your eyes turn and meet with mine. And these lonely nights I found you, I wanted so bad to tell you, but I bite my tongue, scream with my actions, and hope you'll find a way to understand the things I never say. Would you walk away if you knew these words were true? Would you look at me the way I look at you? And I've held my reservations, they've
to tell you. I just look back and I'm like, how did we both do so much and think we could do so much more?
Yeah.
Because now every day I get out of bed, I'm just like, I guess we're still here.
Yeah, that's 100% true. Yeah, it was a song that kind of came at the end of, I guess, the writing period,
The core push,
for
yeah.
Long Nights and Fireworks. Although, to be fair, Send for Me and Morning After didn't beat them by much, right?
No,
Those were only a couple months
we
before.
were pumping stuff out there for a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah. We added several songs in the course of 3 or 4 months, I'd say.
Yeah.
So it was a fun time.
Nice,
And
man.
that's the nostalgia of this whole process has been
Sure.
my favorite part by far. Just takes me back, thinking about all the dumb stuff we did back then. And literally we lived for, Scott and I, we spent a lot of damn time together that summer,
Yep.
between drinking Southern Comfort and playing guitars way too fast and way too loud. That was it for
Yeah.
a year probably. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was. I remember Morning After we wrote, I think, Sitting Inside Lois,
Yes.
which is a van
1978
yeah.
Dodge van.
that we never took anywhere of.
Puke green.
We could never get
shag
it
carpet on the
Never
walls.
get it legal and licensed.
But no, we wrote that, and I don't remember much about Send for Me. I think that happened a little faster, but yeah, there was a lot of time spent in Lois, in the basement, in the garage, or the barn, just trying to crank some music out.
Nice. Yeah. What, so we got this all available on all the streaming platforms, music video up on YouTube. You can follow along with Fourth and Long on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok now as well.
Yes, I believe we are Fourth and Long Rock, number 4 on both TikTok and Instagram. TikTok, we're failing pretty hard. So stick to the meta.
Yeah. But what is there anything else we'd like to do to celebrate this record? I mean, would we ever perform this live again, or what do we, is there any of that kind of stuff? Talk?
Well, there's only 3 of us, so
Yeah.
that's the.
Yeah. We do. We still have been in constant communication with Travis. He lives in Arkansas now. It's not real practical for him to play with us.
Yeah, I think it is worth noting that we haven't really addressed Travis, but the only reason that Travis isn't equally a part of this is just simply he lives in Arkansas.
Correct. Yeah.
We would love for him to be a part of this stuff.
And all the parts that you hear were, if not written by, at least inspired by Travis, and Rich brought those to life.
Yep.
So definitely still a part of this record, but in practical terms, if we wanted to play live, we would need to solve the drummer part of the equation. We certainly, 20 years later, know all kinds of drummers who seem to still think we're all right people. So we probably could, but want to make sure it's a good fit.
Right.
Yeah, I
Even
think
if
it's a
just
question
one-off
of
show. Sorry.
Yeah, I think it's a question of if the right opportunity presented itself.
Yeah.
I think we would consider it, but
I mean, the nostalgia, maybe not in the same way as Pat, but this 20-year wave, we're not the only people doing this.
because we're not the only people turning 40.
Yeah.
There's a through line here.
Shit, is this our midlife crisis? Oh, no.
It's every millennial's
Shannon.
midlife crisis is what's happening
thanks
right
a lot,
now.
Shannon.
But our another band that was from the same high school that Scott and I went to, Number One Sons, they're pretty active in St. Louis, and are actually even getting played on the Point, which is crazy. They're not doing a 20th anniversary. They've just been kind of picking back up over the last few years, but they're doing great. We've talked to a couple of other bands who have some things cooking. Game Time in Kansas City. I'm not best buds with them, but friendly with a couple of the guys in there, and they've been doing new music as well. So I mean,
Sure.
I would be into it for sure.
Yeah, I think it'd be a good time, get together. Yeah.
Yeah, less jumping. I'm sorry.
All right.
All the knee braces.
Yeah. Ankle wraps.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it'd be fun. And like you said, we mentioned possibly getting some physical prints of these too. So hopefully some of that kind of stuff starts coming out as we continue to, celebrate this record. And so I think all that stuff would be great. I mean, I'm one, and I enjoy collecting physicals. I still have I still have a bunch of CDs all over my house and in my car and stuff. So I think the day that the internet goes down, I'll be prepared and have all my I got a bunch of vinyl records and everything else too. So, but yeah, I think it'd be great, man. I think it's, like I said, it is a lot of fun, and the nostalgia is like definitely at an all-time high for everybody. Like there's fun to relive these moments, and so I imagine that'll be if we could pull off a live show one of these days. Like I think it would be well received by.
Yeah, certainly be fun.
Yeah.
Have to learn how to play this stuff.
Yeah, I'm a lot more confident that we could make something passable after playing the acoustic one.
Yeah.
Like okay, that wasn't a train wreck. So.
Yeah. Just took what, 5 or 6 takes to get
First take.
Yeah.
One and done.
Print.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you guys for spending some time with me. This was really a lot of fun, and I'm glad we could kind of take this trip down memory lane and talk about this record and these songs. And like I said, man, it's cool that these are getting their proper due. And so be sure to stream wherever you're getting your digital music at. Hit subscribe on YouTube. We got the music video for Wasted Days up there right now. And but yeah, get involved.
Thanks, Shane.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thank you guys.
Appreciate
This
the
is
time.
great. Thanks for getting us together. We haven't been in the same room for a couple months now. So it's
No,
nice.
we haven't. I've been off having children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hectic stuff. But yeah, thanks, dude.
Thank
Appreciate
you guys.
Thanks.
Bye, everyone.